Good morning. I'm Bob Sanborn, and we've gathered a group of experts from across the state of Texas to talk about the threats that we're seeing to the Head Start program here in Texas and across the nation. It's a nice panel. Let me go ahead and introduce them. I'm Bob Sanborn, President and CEO of Children at Risk. With us is Dr. Teresa Granillo, who's the CEO of AVANCE. Nice to have you here, Teresa. Liza Gomez is with us. She's Vice President for Ready Children at the United Way of San Antonio and Bexar County. Nice to see you, Liza. Also with us is Henry Jones. He's the Managing Partner at the Texas Head Start Association. Henry, thank you very much for being here. Also with us is Kim Kofron, who's the Executive Director of Early Childhood Education at Children at Risk. She's out of Austin. Nice to see you, Kim. Santrice Jones-Hare is here. She's the Director of the Greater Houston Strong Start Alliance and the Chief Impact Officer at Children at Risk. Santrice, as always, thank you very, very much for being here. Let me talk a little bit about Head Start as we get going. A lot of people don't know this, but there are Texas roots for Head Start. It was brought into fruition through President Johnson, LBJ, who had been a school teacher in Texas and saw the power of early education and early education for children. And he saw that that power was important. And as he began his war on poverty, one of the great programs to emerge from that was Head Start. And the idea was that we know, and the evidence is even more clear today, that when kids get high quality early education, that they're much more likely to be successful academically. And when they are successful academically, they have a better shot at a higher salary and breaking that cycle of poverty. President Johnson had a feeling about it. There was a little bit of evidence today. What we know is that the evidence is immense, that there's no doubt that probably the best bang for your public dollar is an investment in early education. And Head Start here in Texas serves about 70,000 of our kids. So it's a gold star program for our state, and it's really having a big impact on so many children in our state and across the country. In many circles, Head Start has sort of, it's like red meat for some conservatives. It's a trigger for people to sort of get upset about the idea of government intrusion. But I think for a lot of early education experts, it's a trigger for saying, hey, here's a program that has really good evidence that really shows that things work. And so we prefer to take politics out of the equation and look at what works. And what we know is that to date, Head Start has been high quality. It's been proven to be quite effective. And I say high quality because there's a lot of accountability with Head Start. There's a lot of quality within Head Start. And some of the regulations that we see coming across our desks are those that are focused on sort of limiting that accountability and limiting that quality. It's almost like we're saying we're going to take the foundation out from Head Start. And one of the things that we know is that for these kids, you take away that foundation, the quality there, and the house is going to fall, right? This is not going to work for our kids. And so as we start looking at this, we're saying, let's stay away from taking away accountability. Let's stay away from taking away the quality. There's no reason to mess with Head Start. During the few years ago, we wrestled with the idea, would Head Start be defunded? No, it was funded because enough people sort of raised their voice and said, we need Head Start in our country. We need it as part of this idea that we still have kids that aren't up to speed. Their families still are low income families. We know that it works. And we're doing that again. And we're saying we need to keep Head Start the way it is. There's no reason to take away some of the things, the very things that are working for Head Start. So we are asking people all across our state to say that Head Start isn't really just childcare, that it's an important component for breaking the cycle of poverty. And I'll add another thing is that Head Start really isn't just about academics. It's also about nutrition and health and developmental services and family support. These are all things that we know sort of wrap around our children and make them more successful. So hands off Head Start is really our big thing that we're saying today. And while the regulations aren't here yet, we don't want even to be a discussion around this. I mean, we could have better regulations potentially, but we don't want to cut out the very regulations that are helping our children be successful. We are non-political, but we're avidly pro-child, and this is something that we think is super, super important. So let's go to our panel. And Teresa, I wonder if you might start us off. Teresa Granillo is the CEO of AVANCE, one of the great organizations in the state of Texas. Teresa, give us your take on all of this.
I mean, honestly, right now, the message is really simple to our families and to our staff at the very least. And that is, we're going to stay focused on what matters most, and that's the children. We've been operating Head Start for, 30 plus years across the state and, right, providing safe, nurturing, high quality early learning environments where children can grow and learn and thrive. And until we receive official guidance on any changes, that work continues exactly as it always has, right? We're still going to do everything we've always done. And we're sharing that same message with our families. Nothing is changing today. Their children will continue to receive the same loving care, high quality education, and comprehensive family support they have come to expect from Avance. And regardless of what happens with the standards, our commitment is still to excellence, and that will not change. Head Start is so much more than a preschool program, as you said, Dr. Sanborn. It gives children a strong foundation during the most important years of brain development. It gives parents the stability of not knowing their children are safe while they work, pursue an education, or build a better future for their families. It connects families with health services, developmental support, and resources that strengthen the entire household. We serve over 18,000 children and families across Texas every year, and families place an incredible amount of trust in us, and we take that responsibility very seriously. Head Start has transformed lives in our communities for generations, and we will continue to stand beside the children and families who count on us every single day.
Teresa, sé que usted habla español y nos puede decir qué es la cosa más para padres latinos en nuestro estado, para la prensa latino, Telemundo, Univisión, nos puede decir qué es la cosa más importante sobre Head Start que nuestros padres tienen que saber.
En este momento, nadie cambia. Es importante que saber que Head Start es el cualidad más alto y es el mismo. Y si los policías cambian, muchos de los ustedes que dar estos programas no cambian. El comprometido es de el educación más alto, la cualidad más alto, cariño es el mismo. Entonces los padres no preocupen con esto y cuando cosas cambian, sí ya hablar con los padres, pero el comprometido es el mismo.
Sí, creo que hay dos mensajes para padres ahora. Es que nadie está cambiando ahora, todo es el mismo ahora, pero también lo que estamos aquí para decir que no queremos que las reglas cambian. No queremos, lo que queremos es que Head Start se quede como es, porque sabemos sí que la calidad es muy alta y todo es bueno con este programa. Es un programa que sirven nuestros padres mucho. Así que gracias. Thank you very much, Teresa. Liza Gomez, I'm not going to ask you anything in Spanish, by the way. But I wanted to ask you. Liza is the vice president of Ready Children, United Way of San Antonio, Bexar County. For families in San Antonio and for Central Texas, what are some of the important parts of the things that we're talking about here?
Yeah, I'm really proud to say that our San Antonio community has really come together and brought together the early childhood professionals and other stakeholders, including the business community, to prioritize early childhood education because we do see the tremendous value that it not only brings to children. We understand that brain development during this time is so critical for their success as they prepare to enter kindergarten, but also for life. But we also understand that it's critically important to the families to be able to, as Teresa said, take their children somewhere where they're not just safe, but they're being developed holistically, have access to other resources that are so critical for families. But not only that, it allows parents to go to work. It allows parents to enter the workforce. It allows them to afford the basic necessities and additional necessities they need for life. So really proud to say that our community has come together. But during these convenings, our United Way really steps in as a partner to the early childhood education sector, where we've been discussing challenges that they are facing. We are sharing best practices. And over recent years, we understand that federal funding has been a topic of concern for many. And so we work together to do our best to both advocate not only with local elected officials, but with state elected officials. We have a public policy team dedicated to this work where we're advocating for sustained funding to protect the quality of education that our children are receiving, but also to ensure that we can protect caregivers and parents as they're looking to enter the workforce. Also, within our partners that we provide investments to, we want our partners to be aware that we remain flexible with our investments. And it's through the flexibility of these investments that they're able to provide for families and for children, especially when they feel that some of this funding may be threatened. But at the end of the day, we know that the quality of education will continue for children, that our partners who are delivering on these services maintain great communication with their families, are in constant communication, and that they are there to serve our families. So again, San Antonio has done a tremendous job coming together. We will continue to communicate with our families, and we will continue to advocate on behalf of children and families to sustain not only funding, but also quality education for all.
Thank you very much, Liza. Let's go to Henry. Henry Jones is the managing partner at Texas Head Start Association. Henry, what are some of the concerns that you guys at Head Start, the Texas Head Start Association, are having around what's going on with Head Start right now?
I think probably one of the largest issues is I think Teresa mentioned something about it as well as Liza. A part of it is ensuring that the advocacy and the education and the messaging is clear, and why it's important for us to make sure that we are supporting children and families in poverty, that we don't lose sight of that, that the conversation related to the standards that's actually in the space right now. One of the things that we try to do is about advocacy and education. And a part of it is thinking about putting things in context, that America is a nation of laws. And in Head Start, there are the Head Start Act of 2007, which is the law. So everything else has to align with the law itself. And so a part of it is that one of the things that we are intentionally ensuring that as we educate, all the key stakeholders in the Head Start space, is ensuring that they understand that if we think about the Head Start Act and look at the final rules, because although there's a public rule that they're talking about around deregulation or limiting that I'll take an optimistic approach to it and say, okay, yeah, so change is going to happen. And with change, I think that we got to prepare for it no matter what. So with change, the key word is strategy. So we got to be making sure that we actually are preparing organizations to think about the pros and the cons and what they need to do differently. Because when we think about standards, that we also have to think about the federal position related to the other collateral things that go along with standards. So the other things that go along with standards are informational memorandums that come down from the federal government, or program instructions that provide guidance. But looking at those other tools and those other vehicles that are actually important, that align with ensuring that organizations that receive federal funding, that they have the guidance and support that they need to make sure that not only are they complying, but they're meeting the needs of the children and families. So one of the things that we want to try to make sure that we focus on is that organizations pay attention to their community data. So look at your community assessment. Make sure that you have a strategic plan, and your strategic plan, making sure that you are looking at, immediate, short, and long term around what this is. And I would say probably the biggest piece around all of it is to grow and sustain. And if we look at early childhood from a bigger picture, in the US, it's actually over an $80 billion industry, 80 billion. And Head Start only represents 12.2 of that 80 billion. And so a part of it is just thinking about how do we diversify our revenue streams as an organization to make sure that we're tapping into not federal dollars, but also state dollars, also local dollars, that we have to do that. That allows us to be able to make sure that whatever comes before us, that we're ready for it. And I think that Head Start program, if nothing else, we're resilient as it relates to making sure that we stay on top of what's best for children and families in poverty.
Henry Jones, thank you very much. Henry Jones is the managing partner at Texas Head Start Association. Kim Kofron is here. She's the executive director of early childhood education at Children at Risk. She's in Austin. Kim, give us your take on what's going on here. And while we know there are no new regulations as of yet, what should we be worried about for Texas as a whole?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Bob, and thanks to all the panelists so far. And just to kind of echo what Teresa and Liza and Henry have already said, is there is a lot of unknown right now, but what we do know is Head Start providers across the state and across the country are showing up this morning, taking care of children and families, and they will continue to do that forever. So, because that is what is in their blood and was what they do. And it's right. And we are anxious right now. You've seen a lot of the national reports that we are anticipating proposed changes to what we call our Head Start standards. Those have been cemented for 50 plus years, have gone through changes, as Henry said, in 2007. And they are really the gold star, the gold standard for early childhood across the country, as far as teacher interactions and teacher qualifications and ratios and all these wonderful things that many of us in the early childhood field look to as our North Star of what we really want all families to have. Dr. Bob, you mentioned the comprehensive supports that families get. It's not only about the education that happens in the classroom, but it's the health and the dental, oral health, and all of those things that Head Starts really provides the whole family. And we want to make sure that we're moving forwards and not backwards. So we are anxiously watching and waiting to see when those proposed changes become public. Once those proposed changes are published, we will all take a great opportunity to look at them carefully and review what the current Head Start standards say, what the proposed changes say, compare them to what our Texas minimum standards will say, and then we'll really know where all this lies and how that's going to affect children and families and programs. But right now, until that happens, until we actually know what those say, the message is simple. And Teresa said it earlier. We will, Head Start provider will still be taking care of children. If you are currently enrolled in Head Start, continue to go. If you know families that use it, encourage them to continue. We want to make sure that the children are getting everything they can during this time. But stay tuned because also we know when those proposed rules are released, there will be public comment period. There will be a chance for all of us as providers and advocates to give our feedback, but there'll also be an opportunity for the public, the parents, to also give their feedback and stress the importance of Head Start. So we will make sure we do our job and communicate when that happens and make sure those avenues are shared across the board to make sure that all of our voices are heard during this process, because there is a process for this to happen. As Henry said, there is laws that we have to abide by, and this due process of having public comment period is part of that process. So together we can help ensure that any of these changes that move Head Start and for children and families are moving us forward and not backwards. And I'm glad to be in community with you all during this time.
Kim Kofron, Executive Director of Early Childhood Education at Children at Risk. Thank you so much, Kim. Let's go to Houston. Santrice Jones-Hare is the Director of the Greater Houston Strong Start Alliance and the Chief Impact Officer at Children at Risk. Santrice, what does this mean for Houston? We know the regulations haven't been released yet, but what are some of the potential things that could go wrong with this here in Houston?
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Bob, and to my fellow panelists this morning. It's still morning here, as we have this crucial conversation. So starting out, I really want us to take a big picture lens at what this could talk about in terms of implications. When we're talking about Head Start, we're looking at over 700,000 children nationally that could be impacted by the decisions that are being made at this time. And then when we zone into Texas, there are over 60,000 children that are receiving Head Start services. And even further diving into Houston specifically, we have over 10,000 children in the greater Houston area that are receiving those Head Start and early Head Start services. So when we talk about impact, there is a huge impact that can be caused due to the decisions being made right now at this point in time. And this is crucial for families. When we think about choice and opportunities that families have in terms of engaging in high quality early childhood education and care, if there are any changes to Head Start, then this does impact their availability for viable choice and viable options within the community. We also look at the types of partnerships that Head Start has. This could also have implications on our public school districts, as very often they engage and partner with Head Start entities to provide services to our communities. And we want to make sure that we are not causing further strain on our already strained early care and education system. If we just look at Houston alone, we already know that there are over 20,000 families of children that are waiting for services today when it comes to high quality early care and education. So if we have changes to our Head Start programming in any capacity, we could see that number increase tenfold just based off of these things alone. So when thinking across the board, one thing that we want to make sure is that the resources our Head Start families are able to receive, they continue to be able to access and receive them throughout the duration of their child's early care and education career. And when we're talking to families, the main message right now is stay enrolled. Do not see this as a time in which you should stop taking your child to high quality learning and education environments. If we continue to demonstrate that there is a need, then we can continue to let our voices be heard across communities at large. This is not the time to stop, to even pause, or to even think about making any changes when we're talking to our families. So those families that are also joining us today, know that you are needed to stay in those spaces. Do not give up your access to high quality early care and education.
Very good. Santrice Jones-Hare. Thank you so much, Santrice, for those comments. And thank you so much for the work that you do in Houston for so many children in the early education years. I want to finish up by saying it's very clear, right, that these regulations haven't been published yet, but we're very worried about them. But we don't want parents to obsess around this. We want you to keep going. We know that for parents, as the school year begins, Head Start is going to be a part of your life, and early education, wherever it is an important part of your life. I think what I'm most worried about is that the threat that this represents, right? That this is a threat to Texas. We know that kids that do Head Start, it's a high quality program. They are going to do better academically. They are going to be contributors to the Texas economy and to our workforce. The threat is to that very workforce and to those successful children. We want to make sure that people don't mess with Head Start and don't mess with Texas. This is something that's important to us. We know, we have seen the benefits and the positive results of this program. But we don't want people to change that. We don't want that to be changed for our future here in Texas or for our economy here in Texas. So we hope that you get a sort of an idea of what all of us from all over Texas today are talking about, which is don't destroy Head Start. And that's what it looks like to us, is like you're thinking about destroying Head Start. We don't want that to happen. This is too good for Texas. Thank you guys very much. Dr. Granillo, thank you very much for the work that you and all your colleagues are doing. Thanks for being here. Liza, thank you very much, Liza Gomez, for the work that's happening in San Antonio. Henry Jones, we have to keep up that work, man, but there's so much work to be done around Head Start. Thank you for everything that you and your whole team are doing. Kim, Santrice, I can't say enough about the work, and you and your colleagues, and whoever your boss is, I just want to give kudos to that person as well. Thank you guys very much. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you to the press for listening to this important issue. Thank you, guys.